Hey
Cool.
there, I'm Lee
Hello.
Rowley, and
Hello.
this is Lee After Dark. Why? Because there's more to being a business leader than just business. Each episode, one brave entrepreneur ejects the elevator pitch and just gets real. Today, I'd love to welcome my friend Andrew, and I forgot to ask you, is it Jolliffe?
Jolliffe, indeed.
I got it right.
You got it
Good.
right, man.
Second
Yes.
time today. Wow, I'm 2 for 2. Andrew Jolliffe, how are you today, my friend?
Fantastic. Thank you very much. The French don't get it right, so you're one up already.
Oh, really? Okay, well, that's
Yes,
good.
yes.
Excuse me.
I'm fine. Thank you very much. I've been working up to now. I'll be working immediately. This podcast is over. I should be working again.
Very
Yes.
good. Very
Yes.
good. So the rules are simple. For the next 20 minutes, we can talk about anything you want but your business. After that,
About my business. Okay,
yeah.
fine. I
After that, you got 5 minutes to talk about your business, where people can get
Yes.
in touch with you, all the usual stuff.
will- all the usual stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's all it is. If you happen to mention your business during the main interview, you'll lose 1
Yes.
point of pitch time at the end. So we got to keep you honest. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic.
All right. Well, I'm going to start the timer. And what do you want to get into?
Okay, fine. I'm good. I would love to talk about the fact the business I'm largely hangs on the fact that what I did before. I had
Okay.
2 other careers before I was a copywriter. I left school at 16. I was an organ builder, of all things. I built organs for churches for 10 years, and then I bought a fireworks company and traveled the world doing that. And what that did for me was it primed me for everything I do now. In fact, it put me in touch with all manner of cultures and all manner of people all over the world. And to me, that's a ready source of not just words and phrases, but cultures and attitudes, which are now useful to me, ammunition to me now.
Exactly.
Yes. I think everybody who comes into this game should do something else first. I'm slightly against people leaving school, going to college, and then going straight into advertising. It's not. I think a better education in terms of life itself is essential, really. And I think that's what the whole industry is lost to a degree. We've become an industry of stereotypes rather than individuals. Very much detriment to the craft as a whole. Really. So yes, indeed, I left school at 16. I did an apprenticeship, and it was a usual apprenticeship in the old 1970s days, where you got to sweep the floor and make the tea, and got a kick in the ass every 5 minutes. My initiation ritual was to have a pint of glue poured on my trousers.
Ooh.
Yeah. Usual traditional apprenticeship in those days, really. Then I moved to London, and I did a year in Italy doing that too. And then I did that for 10 years. Got a bit fed up with the money as well. The money wasn't very good. So I then moved on. A neighbour of mine had a fireworks business, which wasn't actually doing very well. So I thought I just took a leap and just thought this might be fun and learned on the job, so to speak. In about 3 years, we were doing shows abroad. We worked in Africa. We worked in the Middle East. I was a consultant to Disneyland in Paris and all sorts of other things. Until the end of 1992, where we did a show and had a nasty bang and burnt 2 people. That's one of the reasons why, of course, we paid £35,000 a year in insurance premiums. Anyway, but all that, any experience in life like that teaches you things. Right? The richer life is before you do this thing, the better you're going to be in the end, I think. It makes sure that whatever you write, whatever you're writing for, no matter how boring the brief might be, you can make it interesting because you can draw this enormous bank of life experience. Family, also not just work experience either, family experience. I've been, like you, hit by tragedy in your lives several times. I've lost 3 friends to suicide. I've had cancer twice and all sorts of stuff. But it seems rather ironic, and you can tell it to your advantage. And it's another source of material that you can use. Although the memory is still there and dim and dark and horrible, it's still the same. It's still material. It's still mental material you can use. You can make use of. I think it's extremely useful. So it's what I'd like to say that my big message in all this is that life itself prepares you for being a decent copywriter.
Yeah,
I think.
absolutely. I totally agree with that.
Yes.
And I can say that I do draw on my own experiences, as do you. I'm sure.
Yes.
When you're trying to find out and trying to get inside these people's heads, and we're not supposed to be talking about business during this part, but you know what? Screw the rules. This is the first time we've had two copywriters on this episode. So the way I see it, my show, I can run the rules through a wood chipper if I want to. So, all right, there we go. So this is the point where we lose everybody. Oh God, they're going to die copywriting. Oh no.
Not at all. I think two copywriters. I got just thinking it was about I did. To be honest, have another copywriter on the show. Yes.
Yeah, I think it's fabulous. I mean, and the thing is that I kind of learned in that environment where you treated everybody else with suspicion. I mean, in the arena I work, which of course very closely modeled the direct mail stuff from the 70s and 80s, the stuff I gripe about all the time. And so it was just a very a shielding, invasive, I got to get mine and screw you sort of environment.
Yes, that's right. No, I think I completely abandoned as I've got older. I've abandoned that completely. I was when I started. I think I was extremely competitive, as one is, and shielded my patch very carefully, even when I was working in agencies. But now I don't worry. I think there's enough good work for everybody to go round. I don't think there's any fear. We don't need to. None of us need to backbite or anything. We just need to be nice, really. And if we're nice to each other, then it all works out. I can't see any need at all for any antagonism between us, between any members of any creative industry at all. But I still believe that people should live. And that includes people working now. I abhor this game of people working until the small hours and then crawling in at 11 o'clock the next morning. It was something that I was just talking about with George Tannenbaum about 6 months ago. In the fact that people should take in other things, other cultural events and things in the evenings. If you live in a city like Paris or in London or in New York or wherever you are, there's plenty on the go. There's plenty that's going to feed your head. And yet the pattern people work to excludes them from that. And with the result, they spend their weekend sleeping. And therefore they're taking anything. And so forth. So instead of an upward cultural spiral, it's very much a downward one to a sort of black abyss of no input and therefore no output as well.
That's how people become stereotypes and copy becomes ineffective.
Yeah, and copy becomes monotonous and copy becomes of one style only. I mean, if you're a believer in brands that every brand should have its own voice, then working till midnight and excluding ourselves from any cultural references is not the way to do it.
Right.
You have to do other things. You have to have other interests outside. You doubtless have many other interests outside your business.
Absolutely.
So do I. Yes. I feed the homeless every week in a big church in Paris.
Okay, so tell me about that.
I sing in the choir. Yes. The homeless thing is a very good thing because you meet all sorts of the most bizarre characters. A very nice way, because the means to which they've got to where they are vary enormously. It's not just a question of falling in hard times or being thrown out of the house or anything. A few weeks ago, I was talking to an ex-nuclear physicist who was in the queue for soup, and I just asked him what happened. He said, "I just made a wrong decision." He didn't want to talk about it. But he was an ex-nuclear physicist.
Unbelievable.
It can happen to absolutely everybody, but the circumstances by which people, find themselves in life are largely unpredictable.
Absolutely.
But also, but it is a fascinating thing. It's not. There's no pattern. There is. The more you do that sort of thing, the more you realise there's no fixed pattern to life at all. No matter how hard we plan, that can all very easily go out of the window, very easily. My whole career has been sort of a series of ups and downs. Really, it hasn't just been an upward curve at all. Unlike the rest of my family, who think I'm a complete nutter, and sort of don't and think I'm going to end up in ruin. I earlier in my life I was ruined twice, but it doesn't matter. I'm here now and I'm doing very well. So it doesn't necessarily follow really at all. Nor does the university education either. It's exactly what you make of it later on. Yeah.
And some of it is outside of your control.
Well, a lot of it is. A lot of things are completely outside of control. Indeed. Yes, quite. Yes.
What I find is that when people finally come to that realization, they do one of two things. They either cover their heads and say, "Oh crap, I'm doomed," or they go, "Well, if it's going to happen, there's nothing I can do about it, so I don't have to waste my time worrying about it."
No, I think the thing to do it's actually you have to let life take you where it wants to, really. And people try and plan that. I think there are people. I think it's very good to have goals, and we all have them. But at the same time, people can over-goal themselves. Really, people can, and if people over-goal themselves, they do it to the exclusion of things that might help them get there as well. I think that's a very important thing to remember. Is that if you stick to your plan so rigidly, to the exclusion of everything else, then you're actually not doing yourself any favors at all. I think you should let life educate you at the same time, and therefore, when you get to your goal or when you get there, it might be a little bit later, or it might be in a slightly different forms of where you wanted to be. But at the same time, the whole thing is a much richer experience, which will benefit you later on.
Absolutely. Yes. And sticking too close to a goal, I found is ultimately disappointing. It's just not a great idea at all.
No, not at all. I meet people who plan their careers on a sort of pencil line and they can't deviate. First of all, if you go out to dinner with them, they don't talk about anything at all apart from their bloody career, which is actually extremely boring. But at the same time, you can't actually deviate. Everything is geared to that, really. It's a bit like if you talk to if you look at a piece of research, a bit of research, the behavioral research on a target audience, as you probably have. You probably read lots of documents like I have.
Of course.
The people who get up at 7 o'clock in the morning, the first thing they do is not kiss their husband, but look at their Twitter feed.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Do these people enjoy a meal or make love or all the other good things in life which teach you a lot more? In social media is not immersion in social media is not the answer either. I think information that you have to make an effort to take in, you actually go somewhere to find out or discover, is the information and the knowledge you retain. Mostly a large percentage of what you take in every day on social media, and no matter even if you've looked for it, is passive.
Right, exactly.
The information you actually stumble across by experience, or go out and actively look at, or go to somewhere to find, is what you actually retain and use and can put into whatever you're making.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Of course, Paris is great for that. I mean, I try and work somewhere different every other day, and not here. I will work in a cafe. I've worked in the back of a church, and all sorts of things. And everywhere you go, it changes your perspective of whatever you're writing about. If you're writing about an insurance brief, as before, as I'm sure the two of us have done many, many times,
Mm-hmm.
you go to somewhere completely different and work on it. Don't just go to an office. Don't just go to a co-working space, although we do sometimes. But go to go to the back of a church or an old chapel or a whatever. I always wanted to work in a bordello, but I don't know. I haven't done that. I've not done that yet. But one day I will.
Setting up your desk on the catwalk. Yes, indeed. All right, that's awesome. Oh, I love it. Yeah, you bring up an important point, because as copywriters, we do, and I am very, very guilty of becoming overly solitary, at the point of like, I don't have to leave the house. I don't.
Well, no, I don't.
It has to be intentional.
Yes, no, technically I don't either. I mean, I've got plenty of space here. I'm kicking around on my own, 2 divorces down, with in 80 square meters, which is a big place in Paris. I have plenty of space. I can actually put myself in any corner, and it'll feel slightly different. But at the same time, I had to get out. And otherwise, I go. If I didn't get out, I'd be seriously taking industrial quantities of pills by now. And all my copy would be the same. Yes.
That's very true. Yeah, I have gotten to spend exactly 1 day in Paris in my life,
right.
and honestly, we cannot wait to get back. But it was.
Come and I will treat you to a very French lunch.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah. We'll write some joint copy on the back of a paper napkin in a brasserie.
And someday it will hang framed in a Las Vegas casino.
Yeah, indeed it will. That's very good indeed. Yes, indeed.
Fantastic. So you got a couple minutes left here in this part of it. Any parting thoughts or any advice you'd like to share with our people who are hanging out with us today?
My advice is my sole bit of advice, really, and that follows in from the original theme of that whole thing, is don't just think work by all means, absolutely, but live as well. And that's my piece of philosophy, which has rung through me as I've got older. Really.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was commenting with another guest this morning how we are taught to live in this pattern of putting off things that we want to do until we retire, the golden era, so to speak.
I had a premonition when I was older. I was younger. When I was in my early teens, I had a series of dreams that I was going to have a short life. I was nearly proved right twice, because when I had at one time I had 6 weeks to live after my first cancer.
Ooh.
So I was nearly right, but I've gone through that, and luckily now I've been disproved.
Oh,
but at the same time, no, I don't know. I shall probably be working till I'm 70, but probably in another way, because I love what I do, like you do. But I don't. I think to lose your leisure time and use the other things you do in life to actually reinforce the 2 things, reinforce each other. Really.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely correct. Okay. I for one can't wait to get back to Paris, and I hope that one day I get to shake hands with you, sir. It's been an absolute pleasure having you sharing your experiences with us, and it's been an absolute blast. So we've completed the 20-minute. No, we didn't. We lied. We didn't. We talked about business half the time. But at any rate, so I'm being a man of my word, picking up on that part of it.
We did a little bit of business.
Right. So I'll give you a few minutes to talk about your business, what you do, how people can get in touch with you. The floor is yours, my friend.
Wonderful. Thank you very much indeed. I'm a freelance copywriter in Paris. I've had 26 years in the business. Every single minute of which I've loved. I've worked with some legendaries, some of whom are alive, some of whom are dead. I'm an award. I've won a few awards, but that's secondary really to what I'd like to offer now. My offering now is my line. If you look at my site, is writing by experience, and that's exactly what we've been talking about, in the sense that I'm inundated. I'm busier than ever. Although I'm 58, I'm busier than ever in the ad business than I ever was. Really, people are calling me from all over the place. I work not only in France, but in New York, in Europe, in the rest of Europe, London, all over the place. And I think it's probably for the same reason that I've just been talking about, is the fact that I can bring extra perspectives in straight away. I'm not just in behind the desk,
Right.
which is very nice. If you go to my site, thejolliffe.com, not only you've probably looked at it already.
Mm-hmm.
Not only will you see examples of my ads and stuff, and the content and manifestos. I'm a branding person and strategy person as well as just a writer. You'll see blogs with just life experiences in and slightly bits of mad stuff as well. It doesn't just all follow. I think there are only a few blogs which I actually read all the time, and one of them is George Tenenbaum's, which you probably read as well, and a few others, and Rich Siegel's as well.
Oh, okay.
Yes. But at the same time, there are lots that I just pass by completely. Mine is spasmodic. It's not every day. It's not even every week. It could be 3 times in a week and then a 3-month break. It's just when inspiration inspires me, and also when I'm not busy. I think I admire people who can blog every day. I don't think I can. I don't know how people find the time and energy. But anyway, and I'm at your service in Paris. I certainly won't. Lee, I promise I won't. I will never, ever tread on your patch at all. You're the other side of the world, so I don't think there's any risk of that. But if you're in Europe and this side of the globe, in the slightly more eastern hemisphere, and you want copy with another perspective and a strategic perspective as well, then I'm your man.
Thank you very much, and we'll make sure we have your links in the show notes too, so people can get in touch with you directly. And so I'm going to go a little off script here before we wrap this up. I mean, because this is, it's for anybody who's listening. This is probably like, okay, Lee, you're a copywriter. Yeah, you invited another copywriter to come on here and pitch his services. What the hell? Okay. First of all, I agree with Andrew here that we are there's plenty of work to go around, and as I've said before, I believe that I do good work and luck finds me, and that's just how it is. As for you as well. Plus, I've read some of your work. I went through your website, and you and I do very different things for very different people. And if I met somebody who needed what you had, I would not hesitate for a second to say, you know what, Andrew, he's your dude. So, there we go. Because if I can't serve them in the way you can, what's the point?
Yeah. So I think the people who are in danger, who are slightly in danger of treading on each other's toes, people just do the same sort of work all the time.
Right. Exactly like that. And I would hope and I believe that if you found somebody who was just needed a copywriter who was absolutely clinically insane, that you would be like, you know what, Lee, I know that guy, let's go talk to him. So, that's what this is all about. No, but anyway, so we got to wrap this up because I got a day full of them, but, thank you again for taking the time to connect with me, Andrew. We are out of time, but if you found Lee After Dark more entertaining and relevant than most of the dreck out there, subscribe to the Lee After Dark YouTube channel, and now get Lee After Dark in your pants. We're on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Anchor FM, Stitchers, Breaker, Pocket Cast, and who the heck knows where else, so you can enjoy us wherever you stick your phone. Until next time, this is Lee Rowley with my new friend, Andrew Jolliffe. Be present and be well.